Hey guys, HappyCattyCrypto here, and welcome back to the channel. So we're going to be talking a little bit about XRP in this video and going over some recent developments on the validating side of things. And these are real kind of key indicators to give us signs as to what's going on behind the scenes. So let's dive straight into this one. Hey guys, and welcome back. So, like I was saying, we're going to be taking a look at XRP, but more on the validating side of things. So, back on May 11th, this was this year, an article had gone out, and there's a few iterations of this article. And when you dive deeper into it, it's true. There's no kind of deviation, so to speak. This is a real participation, and it's actually happening. And something to understand when you're going to validate the XRP blockchain is there's no incentives there for you to do it based on returns. You're not going to be paid to validate blocks. It doesn't work like that on XRP. And it's a really interesting concept because it introduces an environment that is going to attract big players. Now, as somebody who's a validator on the LUNC blockchain, I understand the importance of having the best validators available, but not just the best, ones that have far reach, big projects willing to build and bring interest to the chain itself, so to speak. So there's a lot more than just incentives to gain when it comes down to validating. So in the XRP community, we all know about SBI, what's going on in Japan, and how their top financial institution is leading the race with XRP, and they have announced their participation as a validator on the XRP ledger. If you're confused what XRPL is, it's just the blockchain. It's merely just the blockchain, and it's called the XRP ledger. And what this gives the ability to do is have a immutable environment where everything's recorded, it's very transparent, and a lot of people, they get upset because the XRP ledger itself isn't actually public. It's not for public use. It's for the private sector, the business and banking sector. And this is what gives Ripple an edge, because you're not attracting Joe Bloggs in his mum and dad's basement who's going to be running his validator kind of on bare bones system. Instead, you're going to be attracting people like SBI Holdings. And once again, if you've been to Japan or you're planning to go to Japan, you'll know, or you will have noticed straight away when you've been out there, how much you see XRP on almost everything. Even buses had it on, in the subways, shops accept it across board. This is really important stuff, because what XRP is doing slowly but surely is placing themselves at the complete center of this thing. And it's kind of what Google did during the .com era. And this really kind of plays into what we're going to be going over here in the video, because on top of SBI getting involved, there's a big rumor now kind of in the wind that Google's just invested in an XRP ledger startup. So this means basically they're looking into validating, they want to validate, and they see the benefits of getting involved now, getting involved early, because although validators don't get paid directly now, that could change in the future. But there's so many beneficial uses for a company like Google, for SBI Remit, to have a validator on the blockchain. And that's the idea of validating. It really is. So for me, this is probably one of the most bullish things that have come out of the woodwork, so to speak, in relevance to XRP, the ledger, the blockchain, and the validating consensus layer. Because when it comes down to what like Ripple's done, what happened is the supply in itself, because there's not any rewards for adding blocks to the blockchain, and the incentives tend to warp the behavior of validators. So instead of the incentive for validators, it should kind of like preserve the stability and reliability and the integrity of the overall network that is being validated. It can also lead to less validators, fewer validators, but instead you're getting this really finite, cold down validating base, which becomes the best of the best, so to speak. So back when obviously all of this launched, rather than the 100 billion of XRP that was pre-mined at the launch, so 80 billion of the tokens went to Ripple Labs Foundation. So they oversee the whole Ripple network and the sales. So we all know that they sell from the escrow, and that kind of adds to it. But what everybody doesn't actually understand is that each transaction on the XRPL ledger, it burns a little bit of XRP. Eventually, those unlocks are going to be way less than what they are. Eventually, there's not going to be all of these big bills to foot, and instead, you've got a very big system with very big participants, so to speak. So this really leaves a system in place which is super reliable, it's immutable, it's transparent, and it works for people. So there's a huge kind of argument with the environmental impact of proof of work systems like Bitcoin in comparison to something like XRP, which is extremely low in cost, is extremely low in what it costs to run the technology, so to speak. So this is all really interesting stuff. Seeing these articles coming up and seeing that Google's probably going to be getting involved, this is very, very bullish, because if you think about it, right, we've got that stable coin environment that's being developed. They've got the blockchain, they've got the validators, they're getting big players involved. And more importantly, outside of the US, XRP doesn't have any issues. It's just inside the US. That is going to come to an end. There's so many things going on with the court documents of them sealing stuff and all of these different things going on, that they're using and utilizing that news to kind of say, well, look, they're sealing evidence. They shouldn't be doing this. This is probably a bad thing. And I just don't think it is. If SBI Remit are getting involved, now you're seeing Google getting involved and wanting to validate, even though there's literally no incentives whatsoever for anybody to go and validate that blockchain, because you're running technology at a total loss. And when you run the technology, you don't just simply spin it up and go, well, it should go really great. You've got to put a lot of time, energy, resources, humans, marketing, PR. There's so much you've got to do when it comes down to running a validator. So I think Google are really going to be sort of leading the charge, so to speak, in the European and the Western sectors. Because, like I was saying, out in Japan, this thing's already broadly accepted. It's already determined that it's not a security. And with the whole kind of like bridge currency concept of what XRP Ledger allows, this whole denomination of their transactions with any currency that they prefer, fiat currencies, digital currencies, other forms of value like gold, in addition to XRP itself. There's so many people that get worried and they're like, maybe Ripple will kind of stuff XRP in the end. And it's like you coming out and going, well, I've just bought a car and I'm never going to need petrol again, even though it's a petrol car. Yeah, you could go and convert it and stuff like that, but it's going to cost a lot of money. It just doesn't work like that. When it comes down to a blockchain such as XRP, the way it works, the way it's immutable, the way that it runs on consensus, right? The way that it works entirely requires that XRP is part of the system, because there's a bit of an argument back and forward as to the controversy more or less behind, I think, Ripple having 6 validators and using those 6 validators to consistently achieve the consensus that they like. It's a really interesting thing that when you look into it more, things like that really give you signs that XRP is not going anywhere, and it really is the petrol for the car that everybody's purchased and got involved with, so to speak. So this is all really bullish stuff. What I'll do is I'll leave links to both of those articles. I'll leave a couple more interesting links as well, which really kind of dives into how Ripple works, the history of Ripple, and all of the other kind of different uses that will be coming forward for it. Like I was saying, the way it works, the things that it can deal with, it becomes very limitless in this sense. So I'm very excited to see this news coming forward about Google possibly getting involved with the XRP ledger. We all know what this means. It's definitely going to lead to a validator on their part. We've got the stablecoin sector, which they're aiming to dominate. It just seems to me like Ripple is aiming to be the Google of crypto. And I always kind of thought crypto.com would take that role just because it's crypto.com. But I really do think that XRP is at the epicenter of this whole thing. And there's a huge worry, and I've even heard Zach Humphrey speak about this recently, and I thought this was very interesting. The way that he went over it is 2 years ago, he realized that, BTC is like his gold standard. And the way he feels about BTC being his gold standard, that if we have a very kind of like operation choke point situation where they start to choke out all of the CXs and we can't move our money from crypto, so to speak, back into fiat, it becomes a very interesting situation. For me, XRP is something that is determined currently to be an actual cryptocurrency. It's got legislation around it, and it is for a court case that will be used for many years to come. And as an example of how a cryptocurrency needs to go into a court case, what mindset, what they need to push on, what they can use and utilize, and what historically worked or didn't work. These guys, in my opinion, they're like pioneers, absolute pioneers of technology that is being broadly accepted, not just by the everyday Joe Blogs in his basement, right? But by these big players, institutional, financial sectors. And this is what's really going to lead to the rollout of mass adoption. But let me know what you think about all of this. Let me know what you think about Google getting involved in all of these things. And let me know if there's anything that I've missed of XRP recently, if there's anything that you'd like me to cover. And other than that, guys, drop a like, drop a comment, drop a subscription on the way out if you like, and then drop and hit on that notifications bell. It's really going to help you stay informed, and it's going to help you stay up to date. Guys, stay safe, stay humble, stay aware. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.